Wow, babe, you're really into this.
No.
Okay, well, he's in a relationship, so you can, goodbye. You can back up.
Sarper doesn't seem to understand why Shekinah doesn't like him putting money in another woman's bra. And frankly, we don't have enough crayons to explain it to him. So the question is, can a leopard ever change their spots? Is Sarper really this brand new man that he wants us all to believe he is?
I am meeting with your ex, Nora. She reached out to me and she told me that she had stuff she wanted to tell me about her relationship with you.
Uh-oh, look at the sheer panic in Sarper's face. That's literally the face of a guy thinking, oh shit. Now, before we dive into what Shekinah discovers, all the lies, all the skeletons in Sarper's closet, let's rewind to the start. So, the last time we saw the pair, Shekinah was waxing Sarper's back while he was casually dropping a bomb. You see, despite them applying for the K1 visa, he admitted that he doesn't actually want to go to the States. But when we join them in this episode, with Shekinah already feeling vulnerable enough as it is, we learn that they're off to dinner with Sarper's cousin.
I love Fasoon because she is a straight shooter. Like, she doesn't sugarcoat anything, and I'm kind of the same way, so I can really appreciate that. I just have a lot of respect for her.
Whether or not this lady really is as straight a shooter as Shekinah claims is going to be evident within a matter of seconds. I mean, let's face it, if she really does talk the truth, then you'd expect her to call out both Sarper and Shekinah. Like, this is a couple that argues about the small things. They argue about old dusty bottles or love letters written by a 16-year-old, while at the same time, they conveniently bury their heads in the sand and ignore the big issues. You know, big issues like where they're gonna live, how they're gonna get out of the financial difficulties they find themselves in. And while unfortunately no surprises, those issues don't get discussed, we do get to learn a bit more about Sarper's past.
Physically, I was a chubby guy, fat,
What?
more than
You?
260 pounds or more.
No way.
That kind of explains a lot, doesn't it? Now, he goes on to explain that throughout his teenage years, he was pudgy and not good looking, he says. I used to get bullied, says Sarper. I used to get bullied for the way that I dressed and for being fat. Which, again, says a lot about today's Sarper, the Sarper that's obsessed with his looks. But it's then that Sarper opens up about his experience with his first ever girlfriend. This girl broke my heart, he reveals.
One day, I saw her with another guy.
What was she doing?
Hand to hand, they are kissing and walking down, yes.
As he recounts that tale, Sarper looks like he's reliving the moment in his mind. It looks like he's in emotional distress. His cousin also watches on with what seems to be a sympathetic gaze, perhaps knowing full well that this was the origin of his villain story, so to speak. This was the incident that changed Sarper's life. You see, after experiencing this, after seeing his girlfriend cheating on him, aged 15, Sarper immediately called up his dad and listened to what his dad's advice was.
I called my dad and he said that you can trust any woman. After that, I changed.
What bad parenting. Honestly, how do you say that to a 15-year-old impressionable boy? Like, is that Sarper's dad's attitude towards women? Does he not trust his wife, Sarper's mum? Is that who Sarper's inherited his toxic attitude towards women from? Like, I get it, right? I get that being bullied and then getting your heart broken is traumatic. Of course it is, at any age, but especially as a teenager. But who amongst us hasn't had their heart broken at some stage? It's just life. It's a life lesson. It's not an excuse to hate an entire gender or an excuse to try and sleep with half the world's population. Now, Sarper tries to claim that all of that is behind him now. His life has completely changed since meeting Shekinah. He trusts and loves Shekinah. But therein lies the million-dollar question. How entrenched and ingrained in Sarper's psychology are these views? And more surprisingly, are these same attitudes also prevalent in the women in his family too? You see, when Shekinah raises the fact that some of Sarper's exes have reached out to her asking to chat, listen to how quickly Sarper's cousin dismisses them all.
I'm just saying, like, these are real people that were really hurt.
I have nothing
No,
to
no, no,
hide.
no, no. Don't dive into that. They're not hurt. They're just jealous.
Really? They're not hurt? Wait, you want us to believe that Sarper's literally slept with thousands of women, yet none of them have ever been hurt by his actions? Come on, I thought this lady was meant to be a straight talker. Like, I get that her loyalties are with Sarper, right? I get that. But the excuse that she gives Shekinah for why she shouldn't follow up with these ladies that are contacting her is honestly pathetic.
Yes, because of them, they feel terrible, not because of him.
Oh, right, okay, so it's all the woman's fault. Right, okay, sorry. This isn't a good look from Sarper's cousin. Zero empathy for other women. I think we can firmly cross out the notion that this woman speaks facts. Come on, that's a ridiculous view, and Shekinah's reaction says that she doesn't believe her. More to the point, Sarper's reaction says that he knows Shekinah doesn't believe her.
I'm seeing sides of him that I never saw before. That gives me a really bad feeling, and I don't like that.
No kidding, Shekinah. But the thing is, Shekinah, you've been the one that's ignored most of Sarper's red flags since the very start. She's chosen to ignore everyone's warnings about him, her friends and her family. So is this the first sign that she's now beginning to wake up? She's now beginning to notice them? Well, truth be told, it's quite difficult not to notice when the signs are literally in your face.
Okay, well, he's in a relationship, so you can, goodbye. You can back up. All right, babe, that's enough.
Now, Sarper tries to reassure Shekinah that he's just being respectful towards the belly dancer. This is just tradition, he tries to tell her. But Shekinah is thoroughly unimpressed. Remember, this is a woman that doesn't even let him train female clients. Ogling another woman's breasts and putting money down her bra all the while Shekinah is sat next to him definitely isn't gonna fly with her. Yeah, this incident has completely soured the entire night, and all the jealousy and doubts that Shekinah was feeling have just again risen to the surface.
It's a tradition, it's a respect.
I want you to be respectful. Definitely make sure you're being respectful. That's very respectful of you.
Now, was she overreacting? Is this genuinely the norm in these kinds of restaurants? Maybe someone from Turkey can let us know down in the comments below. I mean, I do have the gut feeling that this is a little staged. Not necessarily their reactions, but I think someone in the crew asked this belly dancer to get a bit too close to Sarper. I mean, it makes for good TV, right? It was a pretty surefire bet that Shekinah would get jealous. Not just jealous, in fact, but this actually seems to have tipped her over the edge. It's helped convince her that she does, in fact, want to go and meet up with Sarper's ex.
So I actually want to meet with one of these women because if I'm going to marry Sarper and she feels like she needs to warn me about him, I definitely want to hear what she has to say.
Let me just say, right, that if you're gonna go out of your way to hear out a stranger about your relationship, then you should already know that it's not a healthy relationship. But, sadly, we do understand why Shekinah wants to meet this woman. If you listen to what Sarper and his family have to say, then point blank, clear as day, this woman is wrong. She's just jealous. She's got what's coming to her. You just don't understand Shekinah. It's a cultural thing.
Shekinah, you don't know Turkish girls. They can exaggerate everything. They can say
So can you.
right things. No,
So can
I'm so honest with you. Totally.
Totally honest, you say, Sarper. Is that right? Yeah, we'll soon see about that. Sarper's desperately trying to convince Shakina to just take his word for everything. He's trying to convince her that an entire nation of girls is not to be trusted. Yeah, it's crazy. And I think it actually answers our question from earlier, that his dad's advice is clearly still ringing in Sarper's ears. Sarper desperately wants Shakina to think that even if hundreds, thousands of Turkish girls warn her against him, she should ignore them all and just listen to him, because they all exaggerate. None of them can be trusted. But thankfully, Shakina puts her foot down. I am going, whether you like it or not, she warns Sarper.
It is completely bull, you know?
I don't want you to go, babe. I'm not gonna let you go. Please.
I'm not gonna let you stop me.
Oh, I love that look that Shakina gave him. Those were very clearly, do not with me, Sarper eyes. And it's clear that she's the one that's not going to take his bullshit. For as much as Sarper might beg and plead for her not to go, for as much as he might complain that this ex of his has only contacted Shakina to trash him, his words, trash him.
She wants to trash me, you know?
Shakina's adamant that she will be hearing her out. But before I go, she says to Sarper, let me give you an opportunity. Is there anything that you'd like to volunteer up to tell me about your relationship with this lady?
I don't remember that thing between us in details.
Did you have feelings for this person?
No, I never.
Yeah, remember that, because that's definitely going to come back to haunt him later. Now, Sarper looks panicked. I think it's a mixture of knowing he doesn't have complete control over Shakina, but also knowing his lies, his past behaviour is about to get exposed. Now, I do have a bit of sympathy for Sarper, in so much as just about any of us, male or female, would want our current partner to stay away from our ex. Like, I don't think he's particularly unique in that. But where he is unique, of course, is the sheer number of skeletons in his closet. So, with all these questions now in Shakina's head, we next join her at a cafe where she meets Sarper's ex, and with the help of a translator app, Shakina immediately gets down to business by asking this lady, how long were you and Sarper seeing each other for?
For an average of 3 to 4 months.
Haftada 2-3 defa falan görüşüyorduk. Ama sürekli mesajlaşıyorduk.
Yeah, just like that, immediately, Sarper's lies begin to unravel. He told Shakina he doesn't even remember this girl, but she's just revealed they were texting continuously, they were seeing each other multiple times a week for 3 to 4 months. I mean, surely, even for a man that slept with thousands of women, that sure does sound like a relationship. You don't just black out and completely forget the existence of someone like that, do you? Especially when it's someone that seems to have been a lot more important to Sarper than he's actually letting on. Just listening to what she's saying, Shakina can recognise exactly the same patterns. It's as if Sarper used exactly the same playbook with both women.
Uzun zaman sonra ilk kez bir kadına karşı böyle duygular beslediğini, bu şekilde hissettirdiğini söyledi.
He said that this was the first time.
Just look at Shakina's face here. She immediately recognises that this is exactly what Sarper's been telling her, and that's not where the similarities end. You see, Noor goes on to explain that every single day she'd wake up to messages from Sarper. Messages like, "Good morning, my love. Good morning, my angel." Yeah, the exact same messages that Shakina has told us in the past Sarper used to send her to make her feel so special. Turns out, perhaps she's not so special. She's not so unique.
Ben ona seni seviyorum dediğim zamanlarda ben de seni seviyorum diyebiliyordu çok rahat bir şekilde.
He said he loved you also.
Evet.
Again, Sarper's claims that he's never told another woman that he loved them, apart from Shakina, seem to have just been exposed. Now, of course, for a boy like Sarper, there's every likelihood that he might have said it but not meant it. But if Noor is to be believed, he did still say it. And there's no reason not to believe her. Like, you've got to imagine that hearing this must be very painful for Shakina. The entire foundation of her relationship with Sarper, what in her mind made her feel special from all his other flings, has just been a complete lie. Yeah, that foundation has been built on quicksand.
I was willing to believe that he was going to be different with me, but now my head is spinning and I just really don't know what to believe.
Shakina's staying calm, but it's pretty clear that she's been cut deep by all of this. Now, the cherry on the cake is when Sarper's ex goes on to say that even though he was telling me he loved me, even though he was texting me all of this, seeing me multiple times a week, behind my back, he was seeing other women. So, of course, hearing that, Shekinah must be wondering if he's used exactly the same playbook, play by play with me as he did with her. Is he also cheating on me? Is he seeing other girls when I'm not around, when I'm in a completely different continent? And with those thoughts running in her mind, Noor has one last warning to leave Shekinah with.
Tamamen beni manipüle etmeye çalışıyordu sert mizacıyla, bana hakaret edip aşağılayarak.
Again, doesn't this story feel a little too familiar? Haven't we seen Sarper display these exact same traits with Shekinah too? Manipulation, insulting, humiliating, a harsh temper? Yeah, check. It's gonna be very interesting to see what Shekinah does with this new information. Will this finally be the warning she needs to open her eyes? Or, let's face it, as will probably be the more likely scenario, will she continue to bury her head in the sand and avoid the hard, difficult conversations?